Have you ever sensed a divine wind lifting you toward your destiny, only to wonder why now? The secret lies in Solomon's story. God doesn't elevate you by chance, but for a purpose that ignites your influence, sparks generosity, and cements your legacy. Today you'll uncover the hidden keys behind your promotion and learn to wield your rising season as a catalyst for eternal impact and prosperity. When God elevates someone, it is never by accident. In the life of Solomon, we see that divine promotion was always tied to a divine assignment. Solomon didn't become king just to enjoy luxury. He was chosen to lead Israel into a time of peace, prosperity, and unprecedented wisdom. His rise to power came with a responsibility to build the temple, govern wisely, and reflect God's glory through his leadership. God doesn't promote just to impress. He promotes to accomplish. If you feel yourself being elevated, whether in influence, finances, or opportunities, it's a sign that heaven is positioning you for impact. Just like Solomon, your increase has a kingdom agenda attached to it. You're being called higher so you can serve wider. Solomon asked for wisdom, not riches, because he understood his elevation required insight to fulfill God's will. And because his heart was aligned with purpose, God added everything else: wealth, honor, and influence. This reveals a principle: purpose attracts provision. God will fund the vision when your promotion is about more than personal gain. So if you're sensing elevation in your life right now, ask yourself, what is the mission behind this momentum? God is trusting you with more so you can carry more. Like Solomon, you are being positioned to bring solutions, to build, and to lead others into truth and prosperity that honors him. Before Solomon ever sat on the throne, he faced a test that would define the course of his kingship. When God appeared to him in a dream and offered him anything he desired, Solomon didn't ask for fame, riches, or vengeance. He asked for wisdom to govern God's people. That moment was not just a blessing, it was a test of his heart, and he passed it with flying colors. Elevation in God's kingdom always comes after examination. Sometimes the season of waiting, obscurity, or even struggle is where God tests your motives and molds your character. He wants to see if you can handle the weight of glory. Before he places the crown on your head, Solomon's request revealed a humble heart ready to serve, not just to reign. God often tests us not to harm us, but to reveal us to ourselves and to others. Those hidden trials, those private prayers, those tough decisions when no one is watching, these are your proving grounds. If you pass the test of faithfulness in the little, God will trust you with much, just as he did with Solomon. If you're facing pressure or decisions right now, don't resist the test, embrace it. It may be your final exam before elevation. Solomon's rise didn't start with a ceremony. It started with a selfless request in the presence of God. Likewise, your next level begins with the right response in this level. When Solomon was given the opportunity to ask God for anything, he chose wisdom. That decision was not only noble, it was strategic. Solomon understood that wisdom is the master key. With it, he could unlock solutions, govern effectively, and steward the blessings that would follow. His wisdom became the very reason God added wealth, peace, and honor to his life. In today's world, many chase promotion through shortcuts, connections, or ambition. But Solomon shows us that elevation in God's kingdom flows through wisdom. Proverbs, many of which Solomon wrote, repeats this truth: wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Wisdom is the divine currency that opens doors money cannot buy. Wisdom helps you see opportunities where others see obstacles. It gives you the discernment to avoid traps and the insight to make long-term decisions that bring lasting prosperity. Solomon didn't just use wisdom for himself, he used it to bless an entire nation, to settle disputes, and to create systems that produced peace and productivity. If God is elevating you now, he is also calling you to grow in wisdom. Ask him for it daily. Seek it in his word. Apply it in your decisions. Because with wisdom comes the ability to handle wealth, leadership, and influence without being destroyed by them. Solomon's story teaches us those who value wisdom are those God can trust with more. Solomon's wealth and wisdom made him one of the most influential figures in history. But his elevation wasn't just for his personal enjoyment. It was meant to position him as a light to the nations. Leaders, kings, and queens traveled from far-off lands just to hear his wisdom and witness his governance. His prosperity was a platform for divine influence. When God elevates you, it's rarely just about financial gain or personal success. Like Solomon, you are being called to influence others, to shape environments, and to be a voice of truth and excellence. Your promotion is a strategic placement. God is giving you reach so you can represent His kingdom with integrity and compassion. Prosperity in itself is not the goal, purpose is. God is looking for people He can trust to carry His values into boardrooms, businesses, communities, and even digital spaces. Solomon built systems, solved problems, and led with divine insight. His success became a testimony that pointed people back to the God of Israel. So as you rise, remember the reason for your elevation. Ask yourself, who can I bless because of this new position? How can I reflect God in this next level? Influence is not about controlling others, it's about serving others with what you've been given. Like Solomon, you are being elevated to extend heaven's impact on earth. Solomon's writings in Proverbs often emphasize integrity, discipline, and humility, core traits of godly character. Though he lived in comfort, he knew that without character, blessings could become burdens. Proverbs 15 verse 16 puts it plainly, better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Solomon reminds us that elevation without character is dangerous. God is more concerned with who you are becoming than with what you are achieving. He will often delay elevation until your inner life can support the outer success. This is not punishment, it's preparation. If you're in a season where God seems to be refining your patience, honesty, or humility, it's because He's protecting your future platform. Solomon's early years were marked by honor for God and compassion for people. He ruled wisely because his heart was still tender toward God. But later in life, when his heart drifted, the blessings became stumbling blocks. This shift shows us how critical it is to maintain godly character, even when we are surrounded by ease and abundance. So as God begins to elevate you, never trade character for comfort. The fruit of promotion should be matched by the roots of integrity. Let God do the slow work in your soul, because when your foundation is strong, the blessings can be enjoyed without falling into pride or compromise, just as Solomon once did. Before he strayed. Before Solomon saw the flood of wealth and prosperity in his kingdom, he demonstrated excellence in stewardship. One of his first major acts as king was organizing the building of the temple, an enormous and sacred project. He didn't waste resources or delay the task. He honored God by managing wealth and manpower with precision, honor, and purpose. Solomon teaches us a key kingdom principle: God multiplies what we manage well. If you want to experience divine abundance, start by being faithful with what you have. Stewardship isn't just about money, it's about time, relationships, opportunities, and influence. Solomon's wisdom allowed him to organize systems, delegate effectively, and create lasting structures. God watches how you handle the small before He gives you the big. Jesus echoed this in Luke 16. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Solomon's life proves that prosperity follows stewardship. He didn't just receive abundance, he prepared for it through wise decisions and disciplined execution. If God is elevating you, examine how you're managing your current responsibilities. Are you organized, generous, intentional? Are you honoring God with what you already possess? Before Solomon was wealthy, he was wise. Before he expanded the kingdom, he built the temple. Remember, increase is not a reward, it's a responsibility. Solomon's extraordinary wealth wasn't just a result of his wisdom, it was a sign of divine trust. God poured riches into his life because Solomon had proven his heart was aligned with heaven's values. This trust was rooted in Solomon's initial choice to prioritize wisdom and leadership over personal luxury. When God can trust your motives, He can release greater resources. Wealth is not evil, it is a tool. The question is, can you be trusted to use it for God's purposes? Solomon used his riches to build the temple, advance national infrastructure, and bless others. His wealth became a means of glorifying God and serving His people. That's why his financial elevation was sustainable, because it was anchored In stewardship and vision, too many people seek wealth without first building the character to carry it. But God is looking for people like Solomon, those who see money as a means to serve, not a master to obey. He will test your heart with small provision before he trusts you with more. How you handle your current income reveals whether you're ready for overflow. If you sense financial elevation coming, ask yourself, am I prepared to handle this increase with humility, generosity, and wisdom? God is not just blessing you for your own comfort, he's inviting you to be a kingdom financier, a channel of blessing. Just like Solomon, your wealth is a sacred trust, not a selfish trophy. When Solomon was elevated, his influence didn't stay confined within Israel's borders. His wisdom and prosperity became a beacon to surrounding nations. The Queen of Sheba traveled a great distance just to witness his greatness and hear his insights. His elevation drew the attention of the world and pointed many toward the God he served. Your rise is not just for you, it's for others to see what God can do through a surrendered life. In Matthew 5, Jesus said, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Solomon's success became a public testimony. Your elevation is meant to inspire, instruct, and influence those around you. People are watching how you handle success. Will you be prideful or humble? Will you use your voice to lift others or to promote yourself? Solomon's platform was meant to glorify God, and yours is too. Whether it's a promotion at work, growth in business, or an expanding influence online, remember, it's not just about your spotlight. It's about reflecting the source. So when God lifts you, shine with purpose. Share your story. Offer your wisdom. Be generous with your platform. Like Solomon, your elevation is not an end, it's a message. Let others see how God takes the faithful and raises them up to make a difference that echoes into eternity. Solomon started with deep humility and reverence for God. He sought divine wisdom and walked in integrity early in his reign. But as his success grew, his heart began to drift. He accumulated wealth, foreign wives, and alliances that eventually led him away from God's commandments. His story reminds us that staying grounded is just as important as rising high. Elevation without spiritual stability can lead to downfall. That's why God often tests our foundation before releasing greater blessings. Staying grounded means staying in prayer, staying in the Word, and staying in community. Solomon's shift happened when he began to rely on his position instead of his relationship with God. It's a warning to us all. You can rise in influence and still stay rooted in righteousness. The higher you go, the deeper your roots must grow. That means protecting your time with God, remaining accountable, and constantly reminding yourself why you were elevated in the first place. Your success should never be an excuse to neglect your source. If you're experiencing elevation, don't just celebrate, consecrate. Keep God at the center of every step. Solomon's wisdom built an empire, but his disobedience fractured it. Learn from his highs and his lows. Rise with grace, but stay grounded in truth. Because true prosperity is not just about what you gain, it's about what you keep. When your heart remains aligned with God, Solomon's rise to prominence was a gift, and he used it to build the temple and establish lasting peace. He understood that every advantage, every resource, every relationship was given so he could magnify God's name. Your platform, whether it's an expanding career, a growing business, or a wider audience, is not just for personal gain. It's a sacred trust to fulfill your divine assignment. When God elevates you, he expects fruit. Solomon invested his platform in projects that benefited the entire nation. He commissioned builders, artisans, and laborers to create a place where people could encounter God. Your elevation should produce results, solutions, inspiration, generosity, and transformation. Don't let your opportunities slip away through neglect or distraction. Using your platform wisely requires intentionality. Solomon planned every detail of the temple, from the cedars of Lebanon to the bronze fixtures, showing that excellence honors God. Likewise, your stewardship of influence involves clarity of vision, disciplined execution, and a heart for service. Ask God for guidance on where to focus your efforts so that your impact multiplies. Finally, remember that platforms can fade if unused. Solomon's legacy endured because he built on purpose. Your season of elevation has a window. Use it well. Commit to a daily practice of seeking God's direction, investing in others, and stewarding resources with humility. When you honor God with your platform, you position yourself for even greater elevation and eternal reward. As you reflect on these principles from Solomon's life, how will you steward your elevation today for kingdom impact? If this message encouraged you, tap the subscribe button for more biblical financial wisdom, and share this video with someone who needs to hear that God is elevating them with purpose.